pop on here. Let me know if you can hear me. I got my AC on. I'll be outside here for a little bit. So we're going to get into adrenals, thyroid, POTS. I'm seeing a lot more people. I think they're more aware about what POTS is. They're definitely noticing the somewhere between the dizziness and the inability to get out of bed. They're connecting some of the dots between, postural orthostatic issues and then also thyroid issues and metabolism issues, energy issues. So these are not separate things, and POTS by itself is just a group of symptoms. So it's connected to autoimmune disease, it's connected to issues with the adrenals and the cardiovascular system and the nervous system. So there's multiple things that can drive this process. And I think one of the most discouraging things is having people be told that POTS is something that can't be supported, and absolutely can. As people, let's see who's on here at the moment. Got 2 people on here. Smiles, am I lagging on this? Give me a thumbs up if I am not lagging. I don't have any issues as far as sound. Give me a heads up if you guys notice that I don't have good reception or sound. Thanks. How's the reception? How's the sound? How's my video? Janine, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Oh my God, I'm getting filtered comments already. I haven't even said anything. How does a guy get filtered comments without even saying anything? It reminds me of this internet censorship that's about to pop on the 13th. I'm just like, I'm blown away that, we're at this place somehow magically 30 years into the internet just about. And now, they're really concerned about child safety and welfare. It certainly has nothing to do about saying the wrong things and opinions and your local governments, state and federal government or whatever, wanting to basically document everything that's being said on the internet. And more than anything, they don't want people connecting anymore. They don't want people learning about their health anymore. This is what's going on. They don't want you guys knowing more about politics than what the mainstream media tells you, or me. I'm included. They don't want us knowing about the interesting process of commercialization and whether or not you're a commercial entity or a private entity. They don't want you to know about any of that. They don't want you to know that medications are being applied to human beings more than ever. By the time you're 30, you're probably on a medication. Like right now, we got 22 messages. Sorry, I got to catch up here. Hey, the dysfunctional family. Are you seeing me all right on here? Am I coming across clear? Rory, hey Rory, how you doing? So am I, sound-wise, am I okay? And is the screen lagging or anything? I've been having a tough time on here lately. All is good? Cool. Thanks for that. So anyway, as you guys pop on here, there's only 9 people on here. Put down in the comments what direction you want to go with regard to, do we talk about POTS and how that's connected to thyroid or adrenals and or both, the nervous system, again, like I said, the cardiovascular system, the HPA axis, and the connecting dots, because there's a lot going on there, but it's not as complicated as it's made out to be, especially by, I see patients on here or people who are in different types of offices, and they have a lot of complaints. They constantly are talking about how no one can figure it out. And that's because there's more than one core mechanism behind what's going on in POTS. And so it really depends on, 1, are you autoimmune? 2, how healthy are you or have you been? 3, what kind of treatment processes have you been under in the last 5 years, specifically, if you know what I mean. Thyroid nodules are a response, Angela, to typically, like 95% of the time, the inconsistency with regard to thyroid health and nourishment. So nodules don't just develop because it's quote unquote the big C word. It has way more to do with, are you getting the nourishment that the thyroid needs in order to put out thyroid hormone? And so what does that include? What are some guesses? Or anyone, 12 people on here, what are the things that are directly responsible for thyroid hormone health and thyroid hormone sufficiency? What are some things that are going to encourage that? Let's put some answers down here, because that's what the nodules are about, you guys. In the meantime, they do a knee-jerk reaction where they're trying to scare the hell out of you, and you might need to have it irradiated and burned out, whatever, you know. So Angela said that thyroid nodules playing a role. What is missing with regard to thyroid nodules? What's going on there? Why would someone get thyroid nodules? Yeah, there you go. So you've had them for 20 years, no growth. There's all these weird messages on here. You can let them know they can get daily bonus points after completing missions. I have no idea what any of that is. So Angela, what are you doing to nourish your thyroid day to day? Let's start there. You've had them for 20 years. You probably have had them longer than that. You just didn't realize it, unless you're, of course, 20 years old. Gypsy at heart, I had 3. Thanks for the gifts, by the way, Gypsy. Now only at 2. So what were you doing to improve on that? I'm assuming you're doing something proactively. Same with you, Angela. What are the things that you do to nourish your thyroid? What are the things that you actually actively do to nourish your thyroid? Not just hope for the best and, you know, take levothyroxine. That's not what I'm talking about. No one on here? No guesses? No guesses. Zuhu. Thanks for the likes, you guys. Likes and shares make this go a lot further, and the conversation gets a lot more interesting for me as well. Angela, whole organic foods, veggies, fruit, no gluten, raw dairy. Wow, cool. Grass-fed pasture meats. And Angela, I'm not sure. I mean, it sounds like you're really working your butt off to make things right. What are the things you're doing just specifically for the gut and the liver? Gypsy, nothing different. Zuhu, take iodine supplements. Yeah, if you need it, for sure. Zuhu nailed it right there. So if you don't have enough iodine in the system, which technically speaking worldwide, that's the #1 cause for low thyroid. In the United States, what's the #1 cause of hypothyroid? So for those of us, and I think Australia too, but I'm not for sure. So dysfunctional family, if you know the answer to that, that would be cool to. I don't actually know what it is in Australia, or the UK for that matter, European-based countries. But in the United States, what's the #1 cause of hypothyroid? Zinc is 1, absolutely. User 73, absolutely. I have RA. Do you have Hashis and celiac, or either or? It's messed up. Hexed, is that your real eye color? Well, there's 2 things going on here. There's something in my vehicle, so I'm in my truck right now. I don't use filters. Most men don't. 0 men don't. I hope. Real men. And 2, I'm in Colorado, and there's some fires, I think, in southern Colorado, so our sun is kind of orange, and I have a blue shirt on, so I think there's a combination of things going on there. I would say my eyes don't look like that, but I don't have any filters on. Kind of just a freaky effect. The Nightwalker effect. Christy, question mark. I don't know what that means. Celiac disease? Celiac is a gut autoimmune disease, or ulcerative colitis, or Crohn's, or IBS. Any of these things matter. So do you have gut issues, basically? RA patients almost always do. You got RA, I got that. Christy, I'm asking that, and most people in this audience have heard this or seen this before, so I'm assuming you probably haven't been exposed to it. Autoimmune patients, like you, with rheumatoid, tend to have more than one autoimmune disease. Did you know that? So the most important thing I could teach anyone at any time that's dealing with autoimmune disease is the fact that they have not been probably fully informed about what's going on, and that they're being left in the dark about the ability to heal yourself without more and more medications over time. That's what I'm getting at here. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Christy. Your knees are messed up, now in a wheelchair. I'm sorry to hear that. So when I have a new patient, let's say they have RA or psoriasis or lupus or whatever, I have 3 other tests that I'll run to see if they have any other autoimmune. So like you, I know, thank you, I already cut out onto that. Cool, good. Or like Mississippi Grandma just said right there, lupus and fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is ultimately a mitochondrial disease. And interestingly enough, the number one way to tap into your mitochondria, anyone know what that is? What is the first thing you do? And Rory and a couple of my friends on here that I see daily, you guys don't answer this. Let the new people answer this. What is the number one thing that you can do to tap into your mitochondria to help that machinery that promotes your health? The mitochondria are probably more important than the nucleus of the cell, believe it or not. What is that number one thing you can do to tap into that? It's not anything you buy. Why would your ANA screening be positive? I don't know what you're asking. It's Mandy, get sunlight. Sunlight, Angela. Beautiful. Now, what time of day? Stay Punta gorgeous. What time of day? What's the most important time of day for that sunlight? What's the most rich array of light that comes across? Morning. Amen to that. It's morning. It's going to be first thing in the morning till about 9 in the morning. That's the richest array of light that you can get into your eyes and your nervous system, the skin. So that's the first step in actually healing mitochondria. It's not taking supplements. It's not taking creatine. It's not taking carnitine, resveratrol, citrulline, whatever. Nitric oxide for that matter. What's the number one way to access your nitric oxide? First thing, what would be the first thing you do to stimulate nitric oxide production in your body? Do a thumbs up if you do not know. This is a beautiful thing. Zuhu, thanks for those shares. Thanks for sharing the lives, by the way, guys. It makes it more fun. Stay Punta gorgeous? Close, actually. It has to do with water. You wouldn't be wrong in that. It's half the answer. Red light therapy? I'm a fan of it when it comes from the sun. I think if you're in a country that's, overcast most of the time, then it's a great thing as far as the lights go and the tech. But other than that, I think it's just trying to replace what can't be replaced, which is the sun. So your nitric oxide production, one of the most important things that can happen to your blood vessels and your body in general, is going to be stimulated first and foremost by that sun. The sun is going to be the key to nitric oxide. Tell me how amazing that is. When you hear it, you're like, so there's all these things that we've been doing, all of us. We've all been led astray and lied to, in my opinion. These scientists that have been telling us to keep away from the sun and wear sunscreen, you guys, they've been lying. Because they're not stupid. These people are not stupid. They've been selling products. Remember, 100% of scientists agree as long as the bottom line is they get paid on whatever the research says. Whatever the research goal is, they're all going to agree on that, and they're going to suppress the others that aren't being paid by that organization. It's that simple. So the sun is truly the source of life, right? So at the end of the day, if you aren't getting, let's do this, let's do a count. There's only 40 people on here, but for the 40 that are on here, if you're an upbeat person and you like being part of this conversation, okay, do a thumbs up if you get less than half an hour of sun per day. Let's count this. Do a thumbs up emoji if you get less than 1/2 hour of sun, either in the morning or afternoon, not during like 11 o'clock to 3, not those sun hours, but just end of the day and beginning of the day, if you get less than that. And so Ann out of 40 people, Zuhu, Mississippi Grandma, Thanks for putting yourself out there. I know you're kind of saying, oh shoot, I don't want to put myself out there. But Mississippi Grandma, thanks for the gifts. And Zuhu. So 3 out of 40? No way. You guys are lying. Philomena, Signa. 4. So we're hitting 10%. Or no, 1%. 4%. Jeez. Zuhu working inside during the day. I'm trying to think of a way that people can get out of factories and oh my gosh, overhead lights, fluorescents, or LEDs for that matter. Stay Punta gorgeous. Sun activates our DNA. I get it. DNA and healing. It tells the system what to do. It's literally telling the system what to do. You got it. John O'Meara, I get a lot more work outside. Nice. What time do you start at? Like 7 or 8? Are you outside, John, by 8 o'clock? Yeah, hospital lights are the worst. My gym, I've been noticing, they have these, kind of newer type of overhead lights that are LEDs, and it's a double-edged sword. So they have these new LED lights, which are poison. They're blue light, and at the same time, they have open-bayed garage doors. So, like whatever the height is. I think that's a 10-foot door, maybe 12-foot. And so they have 4 of these bay doors that open up. And I try to work out a good 20 or 30 minutes while out in the sun. So I'll do my shoulder raises or bicep curls out in the sun, and because that's what you want. You actually want to be doing labor while the sun's hitting your skin. Usually you are. Nice. So John's got, John, in a way, he's got the ultimate gig where he's out in the sun and he's actively doing that first thing. I mean, there's so much health in that, so much wealth in that. I love the sunshine just this summer. I haven't been able to do toxic levels of vitamin D. What's going on there? What's going on with the conversion process? What are they telling you here? Are you taking too much? What do we have going on with your parathyroid? What do phosphorus levels look like? RA, how can heal holistically? Christy, it's going to start with, first and foremost, it's going to start with food. It's going to start with stress modification and lifestyle support. So that means sleep is one of your most important changes. So Christy, going back to the question, how do you start fixing that? You don't buy it. You can't purchase it. It's not a supplement. The first thing is stress modification, assuming you have stress, and sleep issues. And then we build from those two places. Of course, the gut. Christy, I don't know if you noticed this, but when you were first diagnosed, I'm not sure, I think you said 20 years ago, I'm not sure what you said actually, but whenever you were diagnosed, what did you notice change in your life as far as your body goes, your physical symptoms, lack thereof, changes in bowel movements, changes in energy levels? What happened within a year of the diagnosis before you really started getting pushed by the disease, RA? What was going on at that time? Hyperparathyroid. Just out of nowhere, joints could not move. So bam, it just hit you. Something happened. There's something happened 4 years ago. So what happened within, let's say, 1 year before you knew anything was going on? And I'm talking life events, I'm talking health events, I'm talking treatments of other kinds. And do not forget what happened 4 years ago. 5 years ago, the world was sprung into another place, in my opinion. So did you receive that new treatment at that time? In bed for 2 months. Is this about vaccinated people or normal people? It's about everybody. Bilbo Ball Baggins. Somebody is a little bit of a naughty person there, playing with the Lord of the Rings. How can you do that to J.R.R. Tolkien? Come on, man. It's heresy. Potts, I'm listening. So Kate Ann, how you doing? Kate Ann, what other issues or conditions are you dealing with, and also POTS, if any? And what has the story been? Have they told you it's neurologically derived? Have they told you it has to do with the adrenals? Have they told you it has to do with certain treatments and medications? Have they told you anything about the very simplest things like your inability to stay hydrated and electrolyte balance? Where are you at? Got to meet people where they're at. Went through hell, New York City recession, lost job on Wall Street. Wow. So Christy, so the loss of your job and recession, I'm assuming your livelihood, preceded the onset of the RA. Moved family member and got. So I think, if I understand your story, all hell broke loose in your personal life and you lost your freedom in a way. And I'm assuming maybe you were forced into the position of getting a certain shot. But that said, massive amounts of stress preceded the RA event, is what you're saying? Because this is one of the most important things you can, I guess, discover about yourself is when did things go wrong and what pushed you over the edge with regard to your health. Because that does have to be modified and that has to be amended. And there's no pill, there's no medication, there's no food that's going to help you get past that point. They will certainly help, but it's not just, I have to be honest with you. It's disgusting how many people, whether it's natural health care or medicine, will just throw things at you and say, take these and then we'll cross our fingers. There is something that must be handled on your end, whether it's, again, sleep, stress, a spiritual awakening, something that really speaks to you specifically and feeds you your heart and soul and helps you get past the damage done. And that can be divorces, again, bankruptcy and death. All of those things can drive this. Depression, ultimately, yeah. Now, Christy, here's the good news. The good news in this is that rheumatoid is autoimmune, and you probably had a propensity toward autoimmune because of the lineage behind you. So your mother, your aunts, dad's side, whoever it is, there was probably somebody in there with some other autoimmune disease. It doesn't have to be the same one, but if there's one, you can have 100. I think there's at this point 150 diagnosable autoimmune diseases, and they run very much in genetic lines. If you have it in your genes that somebody else has autoimmune, this is something to very much pay attention to. But it also tells you that you are able to turn off that stress. You're able to mitigate it. Of course, things like therapy, exercise is one of the best. Exercise for POTS. I mean, who's on here with POTS at the moment? Suhu, death of my child through. So I think that probably the single most intense thing you could go through is the loss of a child. And it would certainly drive you into so much stress and, somewhere where you're not even sure if you can be here anymore. That would put you in the wrong place as far as your health. And the only way out is through it. There's no way out but to go through it. Kate Ann, I see your comments. Let me see here. I don't see the comments. Oh, okay, I see it. I've been told frequent viruses, strep, and uveitis a lot in my life, and then got COVID. Okay, what viruses? So HPV, HSV, EBV, CMV. Was it a viral panel that you had done? What were the ones that were showing up prominent? Mrs. Hazy, man, sometimes you need to, yeah, I agree. When you're in the middle of the storm and you're looking for the solution and you have no idea where to turn to, who to listen to, what to think, whether or not you even want to stay put on planet Earth. Because I've had so many people in that position, family members, friends, and patients. I would say I've been tested from time to time. I wouldn't say I've been through any level of stress that would come close to losing a child. But then the realization that you have to go through the tunnel and find the end of the light, that point where the light shows up again, is the only way to do it. I agree with you on that. You have to go through it, and sometimes you get a glimpse of things. You're in the eye of the storm, and you get a little bit of reprieve, and then you go back through the storm and let it pass through you and over you. Meningitis, yeah, bacterial infections can cause, if you think of it this way, if your immune system is unable to keep up with an infection like meningitis, and you have all those symptoms, and you think about the trickle down and cascade of the inflammation that is from that infection and the damage done to the nervous system, the meninges. You start thinking about that, and now you have this cascade of effects, and this resource called your immune system isn't able to keep up. I mean, that's ultimately, in my opinion, what autoimmune disease is essentially, is the immune system has been beat up to a point at which it just kind of starts going off the rails. It starts attacking other things. It gets, I don't know if I want to say confused, because I do think there is wisdom within what the immune system's trying to do, but it definitely gets focused on other things that ideally it doesn't. Let's say that. And so when you have multiple types of infections, viral, bacterial, fungal, SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, those things lead to autoimmune disease. Think of it this way. It's kind of like the immune system's fighting several battles, and the more you put on that plate, the more weight on those shoulders that it has, the more dysfunction that starts to happen, especially if there's low amounts of sleep, high levels of stress, really poor eating patterns because you're stressed, and you're low on dopamine, serotonin, and everything's crashing, and you start feeding the beast because you don't know what to do. And so the only thing that gives you a little bit of reprieve is eating poorly, going out and eating a sugary snack or a salty food. Not all infections lead to autoimmune, but meningitis is linked to some. Yeah, that's just what I said. So here's the thing, you guys. The whole point of what I just said is autoimmune disease is brought on by an immune system that is overwhelmed. That's a fact. The immune system has a certain limit, and then it starts to hyperdrive. It goes into overdrive. It becomes hypervigilant. Hard to exercise with POTS? Yeah, well, if you can move your legs, you can do it. And that's hard to hear, but it is 100% what drives mitochondrial improvement. So the other half of that, Zuhu, which I think you already know, is doing things in the sun. You have no choice. Once that skin is absorbing that sunlight, the body starts taking that messaging and that information and healing 100%. What is your natural form of sunscreen, you guys? What is your natural form of sunscreen? What is your natural form of sunscreen? They tricked you into thinking you needed sunscreen, which, by the way, is just all toxins and cancer causing. Hey, Barefoot Doctor, thank you for the share. Shade? No. You guys know it. I know you know it. What happens to your skin when the sun hits it? Day after day. Day after day. My stepson's girlfriend just got back from Hawaii. She just got back from Hawaii. Kaydan, you nailed it. Tan. Your melanin. Your melanin is your sunscreen. It is the thing protecting you. It is the thing that drives more and more health, by the way. So, your melanin, think about it. What's producing in the tan? Anyone think about that? Does it make sense? Do a thumbs up if that makes sense. Jody's got a melanin is not it's not? Show me why not. Mrs. Hazy, I look like lobster every time. Oh man, sorry to hear that. But you got that. You got it. So Zuhu, you got that, right? Your body starts making that melanin. It gets darker. That is your sunscreen. Absolutely. That's scientific, 100%. Melanin is your sunscreen. If that's the case, would you say that they've been lying to you by trying to sell you something your body already makes? I mean, that's really what it's about, isn't it? Generalized healthcare has everything to do with replacing what your body can do for itself. The natural grocery store and the health store and the supplements and all that stuff. Ultimately, your body should be able to produce what it needs with good food, good environment, good sunshine. But instead, what they'll do is they'll convince you that without quote-unquote science, which is a process, by the way, it's not a thing. Science is just a process. The process of elimination for what's right or wrong, pretty simple. Man, I get a lot of filtered comments here. I don't know why. Sorry, you guys. Get your medical advice from a doctor, not a chiropractor. That's right, because then you could be put on more and more medications over time, you guys. By the time you're 30, you'll start seeing suggestions about you need cholesterol medications. And of course your vaccines. They're going to do that type of rigmarole. Then your blood sugar medications will come in around 40 or 50. And then they'll start telling you you need antidepressants because, you're not literally making anything that you need to because you're being told to put on sunscreen, as an example. Went to my class reunion and the girls who were sun worshippers paid the price, bad wrinkled skin. Well, there's another component to that. And I'm not talking about, let's put it this way. The sun worshippers, what time do they go out? What time does a sun worshipper go out? When do the sun worshippers go out? High noon. What time did I tell you to go out and actually get your sun? What time did I say you have to go to the right time when the most plentiful amount of infrared and UV is available? Early. See the difference? So I agree with you. I absolutely know what you're talking about, Kate. I have several friends who not only did they like to go out and, let's say, golf, between 12 and 2, worst time of day to go out, in my opinion. I get headaches if I'm out at that time anyway, but they're also drinking, they've got their libations. So they have their libations, they have their fried food. What does that do to the body and insulin levels? So you start thinking about what they've been telling you, and most people don't go out and want to hang out in the sun at high noon unless they're getting their sun worshiper tan and they're bronzed. But unfortunately, that's not good either. So morning sun and good sleep habits will help regulate your levels, absolutely. And believe it or not, this will tap into your adrenal support and your hypothalamic pituitary axis that's connected to it. What's even more mind-blowing, guess what other condition is attached to this? Just your sleeping patterns alone. Just your time of going to sleep and your exposure to the sun. It's a disease. Guess which one it is? Right now, about 100 million people in the United States have this issue. Two forms of it, one's more severe than the other. What is it? And again, it's because we've been lied to by the mainstream medicine conglomerate, the corporations. Boudoir the Bear D deficiency? Kind of. It is actually attached to that, this very specific disease. It's also attached to seasonal affective disorder, seasonal depression. Fun facts, chiropractors cannot provide medical advice outside their scope of practice. It's a good thing you're in Canada because you obviously don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Jody. You're kind of a dipshit. Seasonal depression. Nope. So vitamin D being low absolutely is connected to seasonal depression. Cortisol's a part of it. Keep going. You guys are doing good. So you're hitting all the things outside of this very specific disease process. It's a different for every state in the United States, Jody. Every state in the United States have different expectations and allowances, and I'm clearly within my scope. Diabetes, absolutely. So user 86 nailed it on the head. Yeah, really, everything isn't wrong either. But everything. But diabetes is specifically what I'm talking about. Tied to these sleeping patterns, blue light, more than anything, it's tied to this. And believe me, for over 14 years now, I've been helping diabetics. And the most mind-blowing part of that is seeing them improve, but there was always something kind of missing, and it has everything to do with almost all of them having issues with sleep. And blood sugar issues will keep you up, and cortisol issues will obviously wake you up at 2 or 3 in the morning. Kind of mind-blowing, right? Root cause of Hashimoto's? Kiana or Kiana? I'm not sure how to say her name. I think it's Kiana. The root cause of Hashimoto's is unique to the individual. In fact, the quicker you wipe away the titles that they throw at you, the diagnoses, those diagnoses they only have those in order to give you a therapeutic remedy. Hashimoto's doesn't have one. How many of you didn't know that? How many of you didn't realize that they don't have a medication for Hashimoto's? Do a thumbs up if you know what I'm talking about. Thyroid meds? No, thyroid meds have nothing to do with Hashimoto's. Hypothyroidism is what you treat thyroid meds, or thyroid meds treat. Hashimoto's is an antibody disease. Let's put it this way. Is it possible to have hypothyroidism without Hashimoto's? Yes. You can absolutely have an underproducing thyroid gland. Let's flip the script. Is it possible to have Hashimoto's but no obvious sign of hypothyroidism? Do a heart if you know what I'm saying. Is it possible to have Hashimoto's but not have obvious thyroid issues, hypothyroidism? It's not the same thing. Absolutely. So, if someone comes in with antibodies that are high, but they have a totally normal, let's say their TSH is 1.5, their T4 is somewhere around, let's say 1.2, and their T3 is 3.0. Are they going to treat that person with any thyroid medications? Yes or no? So what I just threw at you were bullseye perfect numbers for thyroid hormone. They're not going to treat that. So how can you treat Hashimoto's when it's positive? And I've tested many patients that are positive with Hashimoto's and zero signs of obvious thyroid issues. Some of them have no energy issues. They come in for lupus or rheumatoid, and I screen out the Hashimoto's. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? So if they can't give you levothyroxine to treat Hashimoto's, then what I say stands, which means you have Hashimoto's, that's autoimmune, and levothyroxine has nothing to do with the treatment of it. So you have, Mrs. Hazy said it perfectly, you have to fix the other problem, which is autoimmune, which again goes back to the patient themselves. So it's like that, I forgot her name already. I don't think she's on here now. The person that was on, Christy was on here saying, I lost my job, I was on Wall Street, and the shit hit the fan, and now all of her world fell apart and went into a deep depression along with crippling rheumatoid arthritis. She's in a wheelchair. Oh my God. So we have an autoimmune disease that clearly came on with this calamity, this huge event. That should make you wake up to the fact that autoimmune disease is individual based. It's not And it's just not something that happens for no reason. There's something that pushes your system in the wrong direction. And that's why within functional medicine, when we're seeing patients in their blood work, we're thinking about individual things that are being compromised and or needing to be supported. And we feed into that. I don't care about the diagnosis. I could care less. I'd like to know that you're autoimmune. But for me, if you have 10 or 50, it still doesn't change the things that I have to fix that I can put my hands on the test. Oh, Christy, you're still there. So she's there. And I don't even know, I'm sure there's more to Christy's story. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I understand the nuclear bomb of emotion that you went through with the loss of a job and livelihood and career, and then moving into a loved one's home, taking shelter and getting back on your feet, so to speak, no pun intended. I understand that, and I can tell you that there are ways of fixing autoimmune disease, rheumatoid included. I don't care if it's POTS with Hashimoto's, or POTS with lupus, or POTS with thyroid disease plus PCOS. This stuff all works together, you guys. They're not separate entities. They are never operating on these little islands of separate problems. It's always integrated. Think of it this way. In your body, if there's 10 things that are a problem, like 10 things that aren't firing right. So let's say dopamine and serotonin levels are low. Typically with that, you'll see low progesterone levels, low hormone levels. And then on top of that, we start seeing problems with gut issues. Progesterone absolutely is a sex hormone, but it will also affect your gut. Dopamine and serotonin will also have an effect on the gut and the microbiome. Depression, leaky gut syndrome. Okay, so we have, let's say, leaky gut, low dopamine, low serotonin, low neurotransmitters, low hormones and sex hormones. We have blood sugar issues usually tied into that, and adrenal issues. And then we have, let's just add in a little bit more, some pain levels, inflammation, which drives more and more depression, by the way. So Christy, if you didn't know that, depression is fed by inflammation, and then the depression itself loops back and feeds into the inflammation and pain. If you fix 10 things, let's say there's 30 things wrong, but you fix 10, what will start happening? The body's designed for this. It's designed to heal. It's not designed to be sick and on medications year after year. So if you fix 10 things, let's say we fix blood sugar issues, which are connected to cortisol issues, which are connected to neurotransmitter issues, and then we start improving microbiome issues, we start improving liver function, which will eventually help you with detoxification and inflammation levels and hormone levels. What's the possibility of healing with just half a dozen things right there? Change and healing. You're finding the triggers, you're finding the things that press on the wrong buttons, you alleviate those, and you help the things that push things in the right direction. It's epigenetic. Epigenetics is the application of the environment on a system which pushes on the wrong buttons within the system. So if you want to call that DNA and messaging or whatever, but at the end of the day, epigenetics is what's in the system for better or worse, and how do you improve on that? Your epigenetic support. 30 people on here. How many of these things make sense? And actually do a heart emoji if you've not heard that put in so many words, and it's making the clock kind of turn, like the gears are moving in a good direction. Do a heart emoji if that makes sense. Christy? Good. Out of anyone I'm talking to tonight, that hopefully is a message meant for you. Christy, are you on methotrexate or biologics? What's the story with the meds? Bordeaux the bear, broken heart? Oh, why broken heart? Oh, no one's ever spoke to you about any of this stuff? Huh. Rheumatoid, well, here's another thing. Have you been checked for lupus antibodies, like ANA antibodies? I used to be on methotrexate and the steroid. prednisone probably. Embro. So, Christy, was there any recommendations with regard to diet, number one, 2, sleep patterns? So diet and sleep patterns. Maybe loosely 3, exercise. And I mean light exercise. I had an amazing rheumatologist. He was about finding the cause. Awesome. I love to hear that. No, no, and no. So, Christy, at the very minimum, do you think that if you were to find out some of the foods you're eating were causing more inflammation, your lack of sleep would cause more inflammation and tissue destruction and unchecked immune system dysfunction, would that probably not surprise you? Kate Ann recommended Mediterranean diet for POTS by everyone. Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit, that's why. And that's not what I use. MUSC. That's an acronym. I'm not sure if it's not coming to the front of my head. Mediterranean diet is it's basically it's a misnomer, because what they say the Mediterranean diet is actually isn't. Anyway, it's a lazy way of telling people how to eat, in my opinion. But at the same time, you're not going to hurt anyone. At least it's not processed food and hamburgers and the standard American diet. My family thinks POTS is nonsense, and I'm not sure how to keep explaining it. Well, there's one of two problems there. One, you have a family who's dismissive and potentially narcissistic, or they're short-sighted and not quite hearing it in the right manner, but it is absolutely a thing. So user 37, are there any other co-conditions with it? Low cortisol and psoriatic arthritis, no discussion of diet, etc. So for the brand 51, just said, look, is that one test for the low cortisol, or is that several tests? SC Medical University of South Carolina. Okay. So MUSC, got it. So you were MUSC. Christy, you guys is a great example of this. She's at a school, she's at a medical school, research. So then no one's mentioned diet and sleep on the influence of her immune system at all. I mean, do a angry emoji if that doesn't piss you off. That should make your brain explode. No one mentioned diet as a possible part of how to heal, let alone something that could be causing more problems, and stress management and sleep. And no one's mentioned that to her, at least maybe by memory. Do an angry emoji if that doesn't piss you off, because it pisses me off. Talk about insane. Sleep is so important. Most nights I sleep for an hour and a half at a time, then up for 2 to 3 hours. Multiple tests. Are they putting you on are they putting you on something for adrenal hormone? Only 2 of you out of 30? Oh no, there's more. Okay. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. But you see, guys, it is about the money at that point. What else could it be? If it's not about the money, put down what you think it is. If they can't tell her about how to eat a non-inflammatory diet. By the way, Christy, I don't know if you know this, but for my RA patients, my favorite way to approach it is one thing, and the people that are on here typically know what I'm talking about. Guess what it is? It's one diet. Guess what it is? It's the quickest way to get results, in my opinion. Money, 100 grand a year for meds? Holy crap. Trees and Trials nailed it. Meat. So, Christy, I will tell you, now I don't know your case, but I will tell you that the patients that I have that are RA patients tend to do the best, quickest on a carnivore-based diet, clean meat. Shirley Girl knows it. Boudoir, the bear. I think I'm saying that right. POTS patients do extremely well with yoga, and most of them have respiratory issues. But they also have some level of immune system dysfunction and adrenal dysfunction as well. No, not the veggies, especially not the nightshades, Christy. In fact, if you go back, I don't know if I remember looking this up at one point. I think Socrates spoke about, or Hippocrates rather, about nightshades and the influence on nightshades and the joints and rheumatoid. It goes that far back. So nightshades all the way back to the Greeks. Did anyone know that on here? Do a thumbs up if you didn't know that. Yeah, Marie, no nightshades. My dysfunctional family, you would be very shocked to find out that your iron levels are intimately tied to your sun exposure. Did you know that? Nightshades are plants like tomato, green pepper, potatoes. It's called the nightshade family. Lectins and solanines and protective chemicals, peptides essentially, that cause inflammation in the joints. Yeah, ironically, human beings love nightshades, but most animals keep away from them. Another thing to think about with nightshades is nicotine. Do a thumbs up if you didn't realize your nightshades contain nicotine in them. Tomato, eggplant, yep. Yeah, so one of the attractions to nightshades from a human perspective is the nicotine response. So it's a double-edged sword, because that nicotine is going to support your nervous system in a sense, almost like a nootropic neurohormone support. Christy, yeah, I'm saying eat all meat, clean meat, if you can get your hands on it. I'm not sure where you are as far as your financial provisions at the moment, but it sounds like you're somebody who's capable and can do it. So however you're going to do it. Christy, have you gained weight or lost weight while going through this RA crisis? No cigarettis, just spaghettis for me. Almost vegetarian? Yeah, so you're eating in an antithesis toward your health as a vegetarian, almost. So I'm assuming you're eating fish or eggs. Shirley girl, learning so much. Awesome. I love to have on you. It's great to have you on here. 30 pounds over the last 12 years. Well, gaining weight, right? Not lost. A lot of patients will lose weight, especially the more pain they're in. It can go either way. But if you gained over 30 pounds, then, you got to remember that the gain and the adipose tissue is secreting inflammatory agents, and that's driving the RA as well. So Christy, the question is are you also a thyroid patient? Are you hypothyroid? Oh, Zuhu added more meat, and my numbers. Which numbers are better? Christy, 1 year vegetarian? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, okay, down a lot of, yeah, you're right. A lot of vegetarians go straight for carbs. You're absolutely right about that. Kiana, only thyroid hormone that is out of range. What are the numbers? Throw up your numbers. Let's see what some of these numbers are for you guys. Because there's functional and optimal numbers, and then there's the bullshit reference range numbers that they throw at you, which are based on sick people. Got to start learning that these groups, these medical offices, medicine is based on suppressing symptoms. It's based on suppressing numbers that they don't like. That's it. It's based on keeping you out of extreme situations, and there's nothing in between. They treat extreme situations, and then everything else is basically checked against that, which is an insane way to run anything. You wouldn't run a business that way. You wouldn't run your marriage that way. You wouldn't run your relationships that way or your life that way, hopefully. When I was a kid, they tried to put me on Thyroid. Wow, so you were hypothyroid. They wouldn't just put you on that haphazardly. You lost weight because your mother died. So Christy, and anyone that's on here that's autoimmune, there is always triggering factors around the situation that you're in or had been through at one point. So if you're not sure when you started getting unhealthy, always look back to physical trauma, emotional trauma, and spiritual trauma. There is a massive component to that in the onset of autoimmune disease. And thriving, just thriving. Okay, and going back to what I said earlier, the only way through this is to go through it. But that's all right. Your body was made to heal. You just have to understand what you need uniquely to heal. And that's why I exist. And people like me. That sounded egomaniacal, but people that do functional medicine are looking for the supportive measures to build upon your case specifically, and not based on a disease, not based on a diagnosis, based on everything we can build up and let your body do the rest, because that's where the healing happens. Your body decides what it needs to heal. Can thyroid disorders cease? Yes. So for instance, Hashimoto's antibodies can absolutely cease and be reduced. That's why I have patients who will consistently come in my office from a first point of a new patient perspective. And they'll talk about how one doctor said they had Hashimoto's, another one said they didn't. One said they had hypothyroid, the other said they had hyper. What you've got going on there, Diana, is a change in thyroid antibody levels. What drives that? Stress, sleep, poor eating, poor nutrition, leaky gut, life. All the things that you probably deal with in life can drive those antibodies up and down. The better you do, more than likely, the better your antibodies will look and your thyroid hormone will look. The worse you do and the longer that goes, you kind of extrapolate from there what's going to happen. I have to get ready for work. Good to see you, dysfunctional family. As always. I've been trying to say that I had hypothyroid, but I didn't. Yeah. So Christy, and anyone else that's on here, do not just fall for the TSH test. That is not the only test. At the minimum, you should have a TSH, free T3, free T4. I would run the TPO and thyroglobulin antibodies. If you think you might have had Graves, you lost a bunch of weight at one point, there's a question mark around that, run a TRAB. Thyroid receptor antibody test. Zuhu, A1C, thyroid numbers, and triglycerides. Yeah, that would be additional testing that I would do for sure. My test is about 4 pages worth of data. Actually, that's for diabetics. The other side of that is a 5-page test for autoimmune patients. And I'm talking line by line items. I don't know, at least 120 markers, something like that. Homocysteine, C-reactive protein, ESR, fibrinogen, platelets. There's a lot that we're looking at there for inflammatory markers. Grace, my grandparents passed in June and my body has been amiss since then. I'm sorry to hear that. And it makes you think, doesn't it, Grace? Like, is there something going on with the loss of loved ones? For sure, children, that, and a spouse. I think that's one of the major events. It's bankruptcy, loss of a child or spouse, and divorce are the big ones that will drive you into sickness. Mandy, mine started when the pandemic started. I have a lot of patients that, when that started, and the oppression around all that, for sure. Grace, are the tests covered by insurance? No. So Grace, think of it this way. They'll run your TSH and T4, right? What else have they run for you? Hi, I'm on thyroxine and have any tips for energy? Yeah, nutrition first and foremost. Hank, what's your nutrition look like? Have you talked to your prescribing doctor about the fact that your energy is so low? What have they said about it? Because they're ultimately the ones that should be talking to you about it. Whoever your prescribing doctor is should be helping you with that. And the question is why are they not? I used to sleep through the night. Now I wake up multiple times. So Grace, you're going to go back to blood sugar regulation. How well do you eat? Are you keeping on top of your nutrition? It's as mundane as that sounds. It is a huge part of that process. What are you doing to mitigate stress? Are you exercising? Or at the very minimum, are you walking somewhere where there's a lot of trees and birds and things like that? I know that sounds mundane, but that has a huge effect on blood pressure. Think about what that's doing. If that's a fact, if walking in a wooded area with birds and water and wildlife can literally affect your blood pressure, what else is that doing? And I'm just giving you ideas. This isn't advice. This isn't anything more than considerations. What causes someone to wake up multiple times next other than sleep apnea? Blood sugar dysregulation and your time of going to bed might be part of it, or your last meal. But blood sugar and cortisol regulation. Almost always, the patients I see will wake up between 2 and 3. Almost always. Why is that? Why is that the magic hour? So there's 30 people on here. How many of you wake up between 2 and 3 o'clock? Do a thumbs up. Look at that. So, 34 people, there's 3 people saying yes. How many of you? You're waking up between 2 and 3. I used to, so Shirley knows. Patricia, Mocha's mom. Okay, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Now let's see if we get 10. So 30% of the audience. Amy, Kate Ann. Okay, I'm going to say we're pushing 10. Boudoir de Blair, every night. Who wants to take a shot why that's happening? More than likely for most of you. 2 things, and they're connected. Annette, thumb up. They're connected. What is it? 2 things. Take a shot. You have a 50-50 chance. So Grace said it. Definitely have an issue regulating blood sugar for years. Just as simple as that. Insulin and cortisol, you guys. Insulin and cortisol. Now, for all of you that just said yes to that, how many of you are actually getting adequate sunlight exposure first thing in the morning or end of the day, somewhere around the last hour of sunset? Do a thumbs up if you're getting at least an hour at the end of the day, and ideally at the beginning of the day. Christy Borer is. Nice. But Christy, you weren't on that other part. Yes to sunlight? Beautiful. Now keep doing that. Now the other question is, Christy lost. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I want to, but it has been a gloomy summer. Well, there's 2 things we got to do here, Grace. With the position you're in, the more you move those feet and legs and exercise, that's going to give your brain and body and mind and soul no choice but to start healing and start getting more energy and start feeling better because of the hormones involved. Christy, very little sleep. So that's part of the problem. So she's getting sunlight, but she's not sleeping. Annette, nice. Kelly, no. Oh, Phoenix. Annette. It's been rainy most of April through July. So you're Pacific Northwest, I guess, right? Christy's in the ranch, but not sleeping. Man, if you're a ranch girl, I'm assuming you're working your butt off too, so. Yeah, Phoenix summers are something else. Holy crap. First time I remember flying in there, I got off the plane and I felt like I was in a convection oven. It was so crazy. Yeah, brutal. Boudoir, it's rainy there. Where are you at, Boudoir? PA, our summers aren't usually like this. Oh, wow, other side of the U.S. 115? Yeah, that's no joke. North Carolina? Huh, I didn't realize that. This has probably been the nicest summer I can recall. In all honesty, it's been routinely about 10 degrees less than normal, which is really great. I mean, it's only 96 here right now. I mean, typically it's the last week or 2 weeks, I think it's been somewhere around 80 to 90, which typically it's 90 to 100. So right now isn't a good example, but Florida and Gen X. What year did you graduate, Gen X? So Grace, do this. Get out. The longer you're out, even in clouded, rainy area, it still counts. That UV light still hits. And that 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I know it's gloomy. Get out anyway. The longer you're out in those morning hours, the better you will do. 84? I was 92. 8 years after you. Central Virginia is unusually hot. Man, that's true heat. That humidity heat is something else. I don't know what this is. Oh, in Celsius? I didn't see your number there. So, let me recap here. Sugar levels and cortisol. Sunlight's going to be a part of that. You've got to have it, and if you're not doing it, there's a huge disservice there. You can obviously eat fat and protein. That's going to help stabilize hormones across the board. Insulin, cortisol, glucagon, ghrelin, leptin. You start working out to the neurotransmitters, neurohormones, dopamine, serotonin. All of that stuff's going to be influenced. How many of you didn't realize that? Do a thumbs up if you didn't realize fat and protein specifically are going to help stabilize those hormones. Fat and protein. Grace, do it in steps, in very small amounts. So make it a goal. You're just going to go halfway down your block and back. Just small chunks. But it has to happen daily, and it's going to happen consistently. You have one dedicated point at which you get outside, and you actually commit to that. So it's a point in time, and all you have to do is make a specific amount of distance that you're going to go, and that's it. No more expectation for that. And for the day that you feel like walking further, then you do it. That's how you do this. It's not going to be, I have to do it by 1 week, I have to do a whole block, or 2 weeks I have to do 2 blocks. I'm going to walk, and I'm only going to go to this one mark at the minimum, and then you go from there, because that is part of this. It's not buying a pill. It's not taking some kind of medication. It's literally getting those feet moving, because if you're not doing that, you're just spending money for the sake of spending money. Are there supplements you could buy? Absolutely. Are there food styles you could be eating? Absolutely. Are there blood tests you could take? Yes. But right now, this is one of the keys to your health permanently. problem is I have long COVID and alpha-gal. Well, long COVID is you're not a receiver of the vaccine, right? You struggle with wanting to eat. And how is your, let's say this, how are your blood sugars, first and foremost? And what do you crave when you do want to eat? You think you have Lyme's disease? Could be. I don't know. Don't know your case. But you said Pennsylvania, right? Have you begun the testing process? Chocolate and eggplant. There's your cravings. No protein, right? Just the junk. So you had a bullseye rash. Start the process. We can certainly help you with that. There's testing I use for, well, it's Cyrex testing, but that's part of it, but it's not going to change your need for an exposure to the sun. And one thing I see with Lyme's patients is that they're convinced that there's nothing that's really going to help them. And sometimes they get a false positive test as well, and that's problematic, obviously. There's more to be had than just Lyme's. And it's no joke, by the way. You know, if you have it, you have it. And that is a hard thing to carry. But there are a lot of things that cross over with it. You're seeing your internist later this week? Well, better than no one. Good luck with that. Hey, Blessed Barbie, how you doing? Mocha's mom, I got 2 of the shots. Well, one of my patients right now, he got a shot. He has psoriasis, and he had 3 of them, and it made things worse. Oh wow, Bordeaux, you had Lyme, Bartonella, Babesia, and cytomegalovirus. Yeah, Shirley girl, if you time your carnivore eating properly, you will stop having cravings. It is awesome. It is awesome. Hey Grace, good to see you. I hope all is well. I know the world has changed for you, I think, but I hope all is well for you at the moment. All right, I am going to hop off for the evening. I need to get some dinner, and have a good night for you at the moment. All right, I am going to hop off for the evening. I need to get some dinner, and have a good night.